Yeah, when we did a residency in Yogyakarta, we got very interested with the birds and bird cages. I think one of the things that fascinates me most especially are the cages, which in a way the craftsmanship and also that tradition of having a pet bird in most of the houses here in Java, and that made us actually start to investigate more, not just the idea of having a bird or a pet bird, but the idea of you know how they make the cages as well. Cage or
Locked in.
being locked in, that signifies the ideas of freedom, for example.
Kita sedang mengerjakan sebuah karya dari seniman asal Filipina yaitu Alfredo dan Isabel yang berupa rangkaian sangkar burung yang jumlah totalnya sekitar 98 pieces, dan nanti akan dirangkai menjadi sebuah bentuk seperti sayap pesawat.
Saya bekerja jadi artisan dari tahun 2013 sampai saat ini.
Untuk material dan bahan sangkar burung yang kita kerjakan saat ini sesuai permintaan dari sang seniman, menggunakan kayu jati bekas. Kebetulan agak susah sih untuk menemukan bahan kayu jati bekas karena harus kita cari dulu, dapat, kita bawa ke tukang potong kayu menjadi ukuran yang kecil-kecil.
Kalau untuk karya ini lebih ke kayu yang udah di oven karena dia harus dibelah lebih kecil-kecil lagi. Kalau belum di oven nanti pecah.
Untuk menciptakan satu sangkar burung ini kira-kira satu hari jadi.
Kebetulan untuk satu karya yang kita kerjakan saat ini mungkin nanti akan di luar ekspektasi kami setelah kita mendapat hasil dari proses pembuatan dan penginstalan di museum. Kalau bagi saya makna dari sebuah sangkar burung itu sendiri sebuah bentuk pengekangan atas kebebasan.
Arti sebuah kebebasan, jadi kita lebih bebas untuk berekspresi seperti itu.
Justru di sini misalnya kita berkolaborasi untuk pengerjaan sebuah karya itu akan memberi arti dampak yang baguslah buat kita, karena tentu saja akan banyak masyarakat yang mengapresiasi atas apa yang telah kami kerjakan.
Plane wing would always symbolize for us travel and journeys and flight. So most of our works, we're always drawn to the imagery and the use of plane wing.
I think it also talks about the idea of movement and journey. And we always use one, not always two plane wing, but one wing. So it talks about the idea of flight, but it's actually telling us that it's a non-flight because there's only one wing. That relates to, of course, what we think about the birds being flown. Those involuntary migration, for example. Birdcage we always associated it being, the idea of freedom, the idea of being confined, the idea of refuge, for example.
Yeah, and safety, I guess. But also at some point, if you put something or a cage, it can also mean that whatever you put in a particular cage, that defines their future. And that can be, that can either mean sad, or it can be maybe at some point happiness for some. Freedom for me has to be, you'd be able to take flight, you'd be able to run, and you can in creation and where you're making works, you have, just don't think that you have limitation. That's freedom for me.
I think freedom is something that we keep on seeking.
Define. Yeah.
And I think it's always a human nature to keep on looking on what freedom is all about. And probably this is the reason why we created this work, because we just want to put something forward for people to start thinking about what really freedom means to each and every individual. Of course, probably it means different for people living here in Indonesia. For us being, for example, nomadic in some ways. For people who are confined in the city, for example. So there's so many things I think that we can, see and think about, by just looking at this work. I think that probably triggers thinking.